Hi everybody, welcome to the weekend analysis, and this will be for the upcoming week of the 2nd of September 2024. Now do note that the markets will be closed tomorrow on the 2nd of September, so the markets will resume trading on Tuesday. That will be on the 3rd of September. So first of all, let's just get right into the charts. And S&P 500, actually the whole week was a sideways week, right? You can see right here, sideways kind of week. So typically when you get a sideways week, it means that the market is getting ready for something to happen, right? So Friday we had a very nice move to the upside, and the markets actually closed positive on Friday. Okay, we need to see what exactly is going to happen next week. It looks bullish to me so far, right? It looks like the market doesn't want to pull back as of now. But I still think that we need to form that higher low before the markets can progress higher. Now, what do I mean by higher low? It means that the markets will need to pull back to somewhat around this region to form that higher low over here. So what we saw in August was the first low, and then a higher low will need to be formed. That's what I think we need to see in the markets before we can continue to get aggressive. Now, if you go to the Nasdaq also, Nasdaq is much weaker, right, as compared to the S&P 500. Reason is because the Nasdaq stocks were totally liberated, right, over the past couple of months, because of the the risk of recession and everything like that. But then again, you can see that it is still above the 50-day moving average, which is still very positive. So Nasdaq looks like it has already kind of like starting to form that higher low, right, which is very nice. What we want to see next is that breakout above this descending trend line to move higher. Now I talked about this higher low many times, right? Markets tend to pull back, right, and then form that higher low before we can see a reversal. So let's say this was the first move down, then the second wave down, right, and then it needs to form that high low and then bounce to the upside. So that's a very typical kind of corrective model that I look at. And once we get that high low right over here, that would be a much better buying opportunity, right, in many of the names. Now, interestingly, this week the Berkshire Hathaway index actually hit a new high, right? Very nice new high here in the Berkshire Hathaway. Now, in line with many of the non-tech names actually rallying very strongly over the past couple of months. So that is something I think you need to watch very closely. Now, I want to go through a couple of names this week that really stand out to me. And having scrolled through every single week around 200 to 250 charts, I kind of get a feel of what the markets is experiencing right now. And to me, I think that an area that looks really interesting to me is the financial space, right? That is the fintech space. Visa, right, comes to mind, right? Visa, MasterCard, SoFi, a bit of a smaller name, and Affirm, right? Very interesting names that I want to talk about today. So first of all, let's go to Visa, and you compare Visa to MasterCard, you will see that the business are so similar, right? Market cap is around the same, and the charts are the same, because they are such a similar industry, right? If you look at American Express, you'll probably see a very similar chart as well. But Visa is one that I like the most. And if you look back to history, right, Visa has always been on an uptrend for years and years. And whenever you look back, you say, hey, I could have bought Visa at this price, and don't regret it today. That's just what I suggest. So, okay, I want to share with you something. If you look back into this part here, right, this was the period of 2022. Visa was like in a downtrend, right, in a downtrend. So very similar to where we are at this moment. Now, when did the downtrend end? Maybe the weekly chart will be better. Yes, weekly chart looks much better. So, wow, look at this all the way back, right, into 2008, right, it has been on an uptrend. So, anyways, you look at this first corrective period here, right, in 2022, right, Visa traded down, and you can actually pull out a descending trend line, even a channel here, right? And then finally it broke out of that channel here in 2023. Now we are seeing something very similar as well, but then again, now it's like a shorter kind of channel, right? Not as long as this period here, because that was post-COVID, right? So this was kind of like a typical correction in Visa. So last week you saw a move right over here in this beautiful candle here, right above that 50-week moving average. So Visa to me looks very interesting, right? On the daily chart as well, you're seeing a breakout of this channel here. So I think Visa is one that is buyable here on the pullback. Now MasterCard also very similar chart, but MasterCard looks just a little bit stronger as compared to Visa, right? Broke out here in the descending trend line here. Last week had that move up. So I want to always see continuation, right? So what does that mean, right? It means that when the stock pulls back, when it breaks out, it has to pull back again and then continue to run to the upside. It's not going to pull back and then go get back down below the descending trend line. So that's what I'm seeing very strong last week here in MasterCard. Now Upstart is one that I'm sure you guys will be familiar with. It has always been a downtrend for many years, but finally, price looks to be starting to bottom out as well. Right? Look at this descending trend line here, and finally broke out here on the earnings report with very strong volume coming in as well, right? Earnings 56% surprise. I think Upstart looks very interesting here. One that we could really watch going to the next couple of weeks. Affirm, right? Earnings this week that really caught my attention here, right? A breakout of the descending trend line right over here, and look at this earnings volume, right? It came in, right? Explosive volume, 2 days, right, of earnings volume coming in. Nice earnings, right? 70% earnings surprise as compared to what was expected. So a very nice move here in Affirm. I think it has very high potential going to the next couple of months. A name that I actually bought last week was SoFi. And why I like this a lot is because SoFi also, right, broke out of this descending trend line, right, over here. And in fact, no, sorry, it has not broken out yet, but it's looking to break out here. So I think we are quite early here. And you're seeing volume really coming in on Thursday. So I actually bought on Thursday, and it's looking really interesting as well. So SoFi, I think, is one that we need to watch closely because similarly to Upstart, as well as Affirm, MasterCard and Visa, right, is starting to break out of this descending trend line. So want to watch closely as well. Couple of other names trading in an uptrend, right? First one here is ON. Right, very nice. This one we own, right? Nice move right above the key resistance level here, right? Moving very nicely here, very strong here in ON. So this week was a really what I call a huge move to the upside, which I really like in ON to confirm this upside momentum. Now, next one here is Microsoft. Right, Microsoft looks very interesting as well. Price bottom out looks like it in August, and watch for this move here above the descending trend line. Next week, if price can break out above the 50-day moving average, then Microsoft can go much higher. So watch for that next week. I think it's one that's looking very interesting. Now, Lululemon had earnings report this week, and a couple of other names reported earnings, right? MDB, Marvell, right? I think Lululemon is pretty interesting here, right? It opened the day lower, but kind of like closed higher. So quite interesting, right? In my view, watch for this move above the 50-day moving average here. Price can move back above the 50-day moving average. That could actually start a new uptrend, right? Because Lululemon has been on a downtrend for close to 1 year, right? Price has barely traded above the 50-day moving average the entire year. So if price can break above that, it will be really nice. Now, MDB is one that I like because of the earnings, right? Huge earnings move here. I think price will at least fill that gap, right, around 300. But you can see that earnings is turning around, right? Nice stochastic higher low in the stochastic as well. Good volume coming in. So finally could potentially signal a bottom here in MDB. Now ServiceNow, very nice stock and likely to move much higher next week. Right, I think very simply it's at all-time highs. It's looking very nice, no resistance. And look at the stochastic really starting to move again, volume coming in on Friday. Datadog, very similar as well. I think this one price can really move above this 50-day moving average. It could really rally to the upside. Watch for that closely. I think the short-term target would be around 140. Marvell had earnings last week, and very solid earnings move, right, above this 50-day moving average. Kind of like a bit of an earnings surprise, but not really much of it. But then again, very nice move above this descending trend line here that I've been talking about for so many weeks, right? Nice volume coming in as well. So Marvell looks to be starting to trade in an uptrend again, finally. And Palo Auto Networks are added to my position last week. Looks like price is starting to rebound from this earnings move. So watch for this closely next week in Palo Alto Network. So next week, I think relatively quiet week, 4-day trading week. But most importantly, Friday is what we have, which is very important. Right? Friday we have the jobs report and employment numbers. Right, so that would be something I'll be watching very closely next week. Other than that, I think the market should have a relatively quiet week, which is good for all of us. All right, so with that, I just want to wish you a very good week ahead. Please take care and have some rest. Tomorrow it's a non-trading week, so have some good rest before we start the week on Tuesday. Thank you very much and have a very good week ahead.